Okay, now that I got the Honey Pop 2 ranking done, what's next? Papyrus boss battle analysis? Another time. My Life as a Teenage Robot? That's tempting, but I want to get out there a little more first before I talk about that show. Mario Kart DS. Ooh, that'll be a nice... Jen?
Yeah?
What's this?
What's what?
This! 2021's Johnny Test? You mean to tell me Netflix rebooted this show?
Yeah, I figured it'd be something you could make a video on since it's relevant in the mainstream media too.
But I don't want to trash on something on my channel. There's plenty of channels that do that already.
Bronze, you know this would be good for your channel and it'll be good to talk about something other than video games all the time. Goodness knows you complain enough about keeping a sub count in the positives on your Discord. This'll be good on both sides for you. You have gained a decent following on YouTube, Bronze. Sure, you've struggled in the past year to keep subs, but you still have a good number. You need to play the game with what you have so more people will see your content and it'll give you a bit more variety other than video games on your channel too. It's practically begging for this, Bronze.
I mean, the Mario Kart DS video isn't looking so
Bronze!
bad. Alright, I'll do it. For the sake of my channel and everyone watching, I'll do it. Gotta have a fire hair and a turbocharged backpack. Alright, time to play the game. Johnny Test is a show I'm pretty sure all of you know and hate with every single right to do so. Johnny Test was one of those watched it because there was nothing better on cartoons and it went on for way too long. No matter the lineup on Cartoon Network, Johnny Test always seemed to be the least good out of everything on at the time. Like the Fairly Odd Parents and other shows like it, Johnny Test somehow lasted as long as it did for no real reason, which is why seeing its cancellation in 2014? The show went on for nearly 10 years? I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm genuinely shocked to see the show lasted that long, but eventually, when the show was cancelled, it was not received with criticism, but with relief that the show was finally over. Johnny Test was over. The whip cracking was over. All of it was over. Johnny Test was cancelled in December of 2014, and it stayed cancelled. Damn it, Netflix. Yep, Netflix announced they were rebooting Johnny Test, and on July 16th, 2021, we were given a new Johnny Test, and I don't remember anyone asking for this. My opinion on Johnny Test is, well, considering I once found the entire 5th season of Johnny Test for $1 at my local dollar store, and I still didn't want to buy it, that should show you enough what I think of Johnny Test. But I won't judge a book by its cover. I'm not going to give my opinion first and experience it later. I learned that the hard way with Undertale, and I've done that too much in the past as it is, so for my sake, and for the sake of all of you, I'll watch Netflix's Johnny Test, so you won't have to. You know, the best part about watching Johnny Test is that I completely forget I watched an episode 30 minutes afterwards. That's just how boring this show is. One thing I will happily say that's better than the original show is the theme song. While it's not that good, it's much shorter than both of the original ones, so right now, we're off to a positive start. But that's not going to last long. Because I don't want to go into too much detail with all the episodes, because I honestly don't want to keep you here longer than I have to, and I don't want to watch these episodes again, I'll sum up each of them in a paragraph or two. First episode is called Johnny's Battle Royale, and it's exactly what you think it is. Bling Bling is tired of EAing his games and never winning, so he makes a real-life Battle Royale video game, and every side character you'd care to remember is in this episode, along with Johnny, Dookie, Susan, and Mary. They play, Johnny wins, they want to play again. Safe episode that's trying to get on the Battle Royale train. What else do you expect? Also, I hope you enjoy seeing these villains, because you're not going to see much of them afterwards, Brain Freezer especially. Second episode, Johnny's baby brother is... dumb. Mary and Susan make a little brother that becomes aware and tries to freeze the whole family. Johnny stops him, gets him sent to what I'm guessing is a religious school. The baby escapes and swears revenge on Johnny and proceeds to slowly walk away because he's a baby. You had to make that joke. He couldn't have made something faster during his... Of course they do that joke instead of making something that makes sense. Moving on. Third episode is Johnny's Bling Bling Buddy. Johnny's lost his memories after Susan and Mary mess his memories up regarding vegetables, and before I continue, I want to say that for geniuses, Susan and Mary are idiots. Instead of just changing his taste buds, they change his memories of how vegetables taste. Why? You can just change his taste buds and it would give you the same result. A lot of the time in this show, I've noticed that things happen in these episodes for the sake of happening because they likely couldn't come up with anything better. The stupidest things happen that make no sense because they need something to happen in order for the episode to play out the way it does. It's so lazy and half-assed, but it's Johnny Test. This show's stepping stones was based on lazy and half-assed writing. What else do you expect? Bling Bling realizes what's happened and decides to manipulate Johnny by telling him he's Johnny's best friend. They do stuff. Bling Bling tried to get rid of Dookie, Susan, and Mary.
Wait a second, if Bling Bling has a huge crush on Susan, why is he trying to get rid of her?
I don't know. Fuck continuity, I guess. Anyways, Johnny My Little Ponies his memories back through friendship, and Bling Bling's thwarted yet again. I'm sorry for comparing My Little Pony to this show, I really am. Johnny Unboxed. Johnny orders a lot of stuff from Normazon, but not before we witness this eye torture. Believe me, you see a lot of this in this show. Anyways, Johnny decides it'd be better if he just lived in one of their warehouses, I guess? Because kids want to live in online store warehouses? If this show was even a little bit realistic, half the things Johnny opened would have been cheaply made knockoff products of what the product was supposed to be, and that is honestly the sad, sad truth of modern online shopping. That's the main reason why I don't use Amazon much anymore, but I digress. Eventually, the CEO of Normazon finds them, tries to kill them, yes, kill them, but is stopped before he can by the very thing he created, a bunch of Alicias that Voltron themselves into a big monster machine thing. I don't know, they had to write the CEO being stopped somehow. The Silence of Johnny. While not being anything special as an episode, it does have what I think is the funniest joke in the whole season going for it, which I'll get to later on, but to sum it up, a villain librarian is tired of the constant noise Johnny's making in the library, so she silences Johnny, but eventually the whole town is silenced because of them. Eventually, Johnny and the gang do stop her. There's really nothing else with this episode. Aside from the librarian having a secret base under the library, that's really all I can remember and care to remember about this episode. Johnny-Mon Go, because of course they're gonna make an episode on Pokemon Go. A new monster hunting mobile game. I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't contacted Netflix to have that changed or removed yet. Third-party Ash Ketchum tries to get revenge on Johnny by making the monsters real in the new mobile game everyone's playing. It doesn't work, as Johnny along with Monster Dookie, ooh, cool, putting an end to it all, sending everything and Blast back into the game, and millions died from the event.
There sure are a lot of catastrophes happening in this show that's never addressed.
Yep, that's Johnny Test for you. Knowing Johnny inside and out. Johnny doesn't want to go to summer school, so he asks his sisters to boost his memory. It goes wrong, as does just about every single thing these two do in this show now. And Johnny turns into an anti-test villain. Before Johnny's able to eliminate his parents, which is easily the most ironically well thought of piece of this show so far because, you know, he hates tests. His name is you get the joke. Anyways, Susan and Mary eventually fix the problem, and Johnny passes summer school with a C-. Man, Johnny's got it lucky getting that high of a passing grade. All I ever got lucky with from my teachers were D-. Bastards. I'm terrible. JTA, Johnny Talent Agency. Johnny's favorite actor, Speed McCool, is down on his luck, so Johnny tries to help by becoming his agent. Johnny tries to reunite Speed with his monkey sidekick and gives another funny joke that I'll also get to later, but only makes things worse because he's Johnny Test. However, because it's Johnny Test, Johnny fixes it all by episode's end and gives Speed along with his monkey a new purpose in movies because he's Johnny Test. Johnny the 13th. Johnny tries to prove he's brave by spending the night in his backyard that's been turned into a horror forest by his sisters for no other reason than to add on to the plot. Seriously, they made this advanced growth machine for no other reason. Dookie reveals he has socks, which is something I probably won't remember, which I didn't until writing this. They also mistake their dad cutting the yard as a murderer and spend the whole episode trying to stop him, which they do, and once the sun comes up, all the forest is taken away, and they realize it was their dad the whole time, and they're grounded. Johnny's new do. Johnny's not tall enough to ride a roller coaster, and instead of going to his sisters for more height, he just asks for more hair. More hair. The hair somehow becomes sentient because Johnny Test doesn't care about logic, never did. Who cares how it got sentient? It does funny stuff, look at it! The episode ends with Johnny being saved by a third-party Evel Knievel character, and the hair likes him because he's dangerous. Oh, also, before I forget, I completely forgot about this part of the episode until I recorded footage for this video, but there is a meteorite that's going to crash into Pork Belly that somehow spin off Evel Knievel and Johnny's hair stop together. I mean, what do you expect for story at this point? Johnny's Roman holiday. Johnny wants to go to Hawaii for vacation, but his family decides to go to Rome. Susan and Mary, trying to get Johnny to stop being a whiny little bitch, take them back to Golden Era Rome to see it in its prime. Things happen between them and the Emperor, whose name I've completely forgotten like most of this show, and by the end, they meet one of their ancestors, invent meatloaf, and when they get back, there's a statue of Johnny and Dookie because they invented meatloaf. Isn't that funny? They have a statue of them because they invented meatloaf. Isn't that funny? Johnny Fest. Johnny wants to throw a music festival by inviting Cosmic Robotic because everyone loves them. When the time comes, they actually end up getting spin-off Daft Punk, who turn out to be Mr. Black and Mr. White. Then aliens show up saying that Cosmic Robotics stole their song and almost destroyed the Earth until Johnny's dad gives them his meatloaf.
Didn't their dad make horrible meatloaf in the original show?
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to make it different for this show, but it's Johnny Test, who gives a damn? Johnny with 1,000 faces. Susan and Mary make a face-swapping app with emojis and stuff because that's what the kids like to do now, is put emojis on their faces. Bling Bling tried confessing to Susan for the 763rd time. Hey, it's that crush thing I talked about earlier that was ignored for no apparent reason. It's odd. I was actually surprised it took them this many episodes to bring that back. You know it's good when you're surprised the show didn't use one of its dumb cliches as soon as you expected it to, but it's bad when most of those episodes have worse content in them than the cliche does. Anyways, Bling Bling gets his hands on the face swapper, commits many crimes with Johnny's face to get Johnny in trouble, so Johnny decides to make everyone in town have his face? Bling Bling puts it best.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Johnny hits the undo button for everyone except Bling Bling, whose face was made as the poop emoji because it's funny! Most of this show's humor was inspired by what would happen if George Lucas got batshit drunk and decided to make a sequel to Shark Tale, except all the characters are Jar Jar Binks and Ewoks. Actually, I'd take that back. That would be at least ironically enjoyable. This show is not. Johnny's yard sale. Johnny needs money to get Dookie a toy for dog anniversary day and decides to go to Susan and Mary's lab and sell things from it in a yard sale. In case you didn't know, Johnny is a very bad brother and a worse human being because as it turns out, the stuff Johnny sold from his sister's lab is high-end secret military equipment, which gives the people who bought it their own ways to become supervillains. After some blunders in Pork Belly, Johnny gets the items back and learns the importance of saying the word please, and so did I, because at this point I thought, please let this show end quicker than it started. The Masked Johnny. Mary, Susan, and Dookie decide to have a spa day. Because Johnny just can't learn to relax, they decide to put a mask on him so he can't talk. The mask is indestructible and won't come off for 15 minutes. I bet that specific detail won't have any significance later in the episode, and Johnny's spa chair sends him directly into the middle of a luchador wrestling locker room. Johnny gets mistaken for the undefeated luchador wrestler with the same mask and hair as him because of course it does, and when things get real, the mask comes off. Eventually, the spa chairs are used to chill the wrestlers in the ring and take their place in the wrestling shows going forward. As a former diehard, not so much now wrestling fan, I can say that this is more of a disgrace to wrestling than the missed masterpiece that WrestleMania 8's main event should have been. You had Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan in the same event at the grandest show in all of wrestling, and instead, we got what is arguably the worst main event in WrestleMania history. What was WWE thinking?
Bronze, it's professional wrestling, it's not real.
I know it's not real, Jen, but it's still real to me, damn it! Okay, yeah, I made that joke, I'm better now, let's go. Say cheese Johnny. Johnny's mom wants a good family photo this year, and to make sure it happens, she brings in a high-end photographer, Paul. But 3 strands of Johnny's hair won't stay down, so Mary and Susan give him some hairspray they made, but oh no, they pointed it at themselves, and now they're walking wigs. While Mary and Susan find a way to fix this, Johnny and Dookie stall Paul in the weirdest, only in Johnny Test ways possible. Eventually, they get it right. Mostly, their heads are swapped, but it doesn't matter, they look close enough, and Johnny tells them to talk at the same time, so the family photo is finally taken. Surprisingly enough, this episode ends on a good note instead of some dumb joke or pointless thing, and it's honestly one of the better endings to the first season of this show, but considering what we've seen in this show, that's not saying much. Johnny's mazed and confused. Johnny, along with other characters in the show, try a corn maze that a boy was lost in decades ago because they need something else to make this episode watchable. After all the villains are eliminated, it's down to the main four, and oh hey, they found the kid that was lost. I hope we see him in another episode, unlike most of the characters in this whole season. After some bickering, they finally figure out that the exit to the corn maze is in the gift shop, which is very on the nose and well done at least. By episode's end, they all escape with the lost boy. His mom shows up out of nowhere because it's Johnny Test and gets onto him for being in the corn maze for so long. So Johnny gives the lost boy the car he won, which was the only reason why everyone went in there in the first place, to get away from his mom. As the theme song says, he's action-packed and sister-charged with a brain that's not large. Well, obviously that's not the theme song, but you didn't know the difference. Johnny is the new Black. I'll say it now, most of these titles make me hurt inside. Mr. Black and Mr. White are on a time-sensitive mission involving the General that doesn't give them great low rates they can get online. Go to the General and save some time! God, that's deeply engraved in my brain. But yeah, Mr. Black gets his mind swapped with a goat, and Johnny is put into Mr. Black with the goat being in Johnny. Johnny has to come up with a good speech for the General, and oh hey, it's the Luchador from one of the other episodes! He's not a one-off character after all! Mr. Mittens tries to swap his body with the General, and Johnny is obviously eating stuff because he's a goat. But Mr. Mittens ultimately fails to do so, and I honestly can't remember the end of the episode, but I do know it was bad enough for me to not remember. Johnny Test 902. Oh god. Johnny is tired of his boring old town, so he has Mary and Susan turn Pork Belly into different cities with the people changing too, including his sisters, which I will admit is pretty enjoyable to see. However, the machine malfunctions and turns Pork Belly into a mixture of every single city they previously turned it into before. After some failed attempts to fix the problem, Johnny decides to plug his phone into the machine to turn it back into Pork Belly. Why do I keep my expectations high when watching this? Also, there's a song in this episode. As CinemaSin says, skip! Johnny's Holiday Light Fight. It's Christmas, which means Johnny's dad has the Test's house covered in Christmas lights, but lo and behold, the neighbor has more lights than them, so the entire episode is about buying more Christmas lights. Darth Vegan and Bling Bling decide to join in for reasons I don't understand and don't care to understand, and they all turn their street into a major fire hazard. In the middle of winter, isn't that something? Also, there's a man at sea, and for some reason can only see land that's lit up by Christmas lights, so I don't know what to make of it. Johnny gets a robot dinosaur for some reason because that screams Christmas, and by end, all the lights are turned off by Santa? That's how you incorporate Santa into your Christmas episode? You also have Santa give the only gift he gives to the castaway, the least important character in this episode, whose only purpose was to poke at how bright Christmas lights are. What?
We don't need another technical difficulty.
Alright, let's just end this part here and give my overall thoughts on the show. So now that I've finally gone through every single episode of the first season, it's time I gave my overall opinion on this show. Honestly, I've seen worse. It's not good, but it's not horrible per se. Most of everything the episodes have in them are forgettable by the end of the next episode, but it's easily not the worst show I've ever seen. However, 2021's Johnny Test has got to have some of the dumbest, happens just to happen writing I've seen in a long time. I guarantee you I put more effort into this video, least of all the script, than anyone ever did with the Johnny Test reboot. I'd rather watch all of Unikitty twice before I'd watch another episode of this. I mean, that's not saying much because I'd happily watch Unikitty since I love that show. I don't fucking care what any of you say, that show's great. At the very least, Unikitty is much more entertaining to watch than Johnny Test ever was and likely ever will be. Johnny Test doesn't have anything close to that, and to stop myself from talking about Unikitty more than I already have, I'll move on to a more positive note. Surprising enough as it may be, this reboot of Johnny Test does have a few good jokes in it. A few off the top of my head is when Johnny is Speed's agent, he introduces himself to Speed's monkey by showing his card that's just a 70% off pizza coupon. That got a genuine laugh out of me, as well as this joke, which I think is the funniest joke in the entire season.
Because I'm taking your voice!
Whoa! Didn't see that.
We've all had enough of those sounds, too!
That's pretty well thought of, considering what the rest of this season has in it, and I'm very glad they took the whip cracking out entirely, but aside from these two jokes and maybe one or two others, I can't really think of anything else that's memorable about this whole 20-episode season. That should show how much I enjoyed watching this. I really didn't. This show was just a clear attempt to reboot an old show that nobody asked for, a show that was always the least good show out of any lineup it had on Cartoon Network, a show that wasn't even that good in the first place, just because they know kids will watch it. It's like a culturally updated version of the show before it. 2021's Johnny Test is pointless filler on Netflix's recommended that doesn't have anything good going for it, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a weak 3 out of 10. It would have been 2.5 out of 10, but those few actual jokes push it up half a point, but that's nowhere near enough to redeem this lower than average kids show that'll probably be played in the background while kids do something else. It drags on, it's not very funny, most of it is completely forgettable 30 minutes later, and it was honestly tough watching this most of the time. All of these reasons and many more is why I watched 2021's Johnny Test, so you wouldn't. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go start making a video on something I actually enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, and have a good one.